here's the hard truth most people don't want to see. If something is consistently draining you and it continues to happen, you are participating in that. And again, I'm not saying this to blame you. I'm saying it because it's where your power is. This is info, not ammo. Information for you to learn, integrate, and grow from, not ammunition to beat yourself up. Hi, I'm Barb Nangle. I want to welcome you to my podcast, Fragmented to Whole, Life Lessons from 12-Step Recovery. If you're tired of feeling fragmented and overwhelmed, this podcast is your guide to creating a life of wholeness, authenticity, and healthy boundaries. I'm a woman in recovery who is also a boundaries coach and speaker. I share raw and honest insights from my own journey and the principles of 12-Step Recovery. Discover how to set boundaries without guilt or shame, overcome people-pleasing tendencies, manage your emotions effectively, cultivate a stronger sense of self, and build healthier relationships. My approach is raw, honest, and sometimes a little bit, a lot sweary. I'm an avid beachcomber and a formerly closeted fan of the Hallmark Channel, especially Christmas movies. I wear fingerless gloves almost all year round because my hands are always cold. And I love taking pictures of license plates with my initials BN on them. I don't speak for or endorse any particular 12-step program of recovery. Though I'm a huge fan of 12-step recovery and a member of two such fellowships, I cannot speak for them. If you're ready for real talk and practical tools for transformation, keep listening. This is episode 348, How to Stop Tolerating What Drains You and Reclaim Your Time and Energy. Today, I want to talk about something that's probably costing you more time and energy than anything else. And you might not even realize it because it doesn't look like overscheduling or poor time management. It looks like something much quieter. It's what you're tolerating. And here's what I mean by that. Where in your life are you saying yes when your whole life is screaming, no? One of the things I say all the time is that resentment is an indicator. Often it's an indicator that it's time for a boundary or time to shore up a boundary. I used to think resentment was an indicator that someone else did something wrong or that they were an asshole. Now I know it's an indicator for me, about me. And this is one of the places where resentment can actually be incredibly useful because every time you feel resentful, drained, irritated, or depleted, there's a very high chance you're tolerating something. Maybe it's a person who keeps crossing your limits, or a workload that doesn't leave you any space to breathe, or conversations full of drama, gossip, or complaining. Or maybe it's avoiding a hard conversation because you don't want conflict. And here's the part people don't realize. Everything you're, quote, tolerating costs you energy, and not just a little bit. It's like a slow, constant leak in your system. Think about having a hole in your gas tank that leaks constantly, but you don't even know that it's leaking. You keep filling the tank. It keeps draining faster and faster. You're getting worse and worse gas mileage, but you don't know why. And you're thinking, look, I keep filling the tank. What's happening? So this is different from time management. In the last two episodes, I talked about respecting your capacity and changing your behavior around time. But this goes deeper than both of those because you can have a beautifully structured calendar and still feel exhausted. Why? Because your energy isn't just being spent on what you're doing. It's being drained by what you're allowing. Let me say this really clearly. When you tolerate something that doesn't feel okay to you, you're not just being nice. You're abandoning yourself. And I don't say that to shame you. I would never do that. I say that because most of us were trained to do this. We were trained to keep the peace, avoid conflict, manage other people's feelings, and be easy to be around. And in doing that, we override our own internal signals. Now, this is where I want to bring in a really important question. Here it is. What's the story you're telling yourself about why this is okay? Now, I'm going to repeat that question in a moment so you can really pause and think about it. But first, I want to say a couple things. This is where things get honest, because the things we're tolerating aren't random. There's always a justification. So justification sounds like, it's not that big of a deal, or they didn't mean it. I don't want to make things awkward. It's just easier this way. I should be able to handle it, because those stories come at a cost. Every time you override yourself, you're weakening your sense of internal safety. All right, so now I want you to pause the audio for a moment here, bring something to mind that you've been tolerating, and ask that question of yourself. What's the story you're telling yourself about why this is okay? And if you didn't pause, do it now. All right, now that you have that story in your mind, let's connect it directly to your time and energy, because internal safety isn't built by managing your schedule. It's built by staying with yourself, especially when something doesn't feel right. Time and energy boundaries aren't just about what you do with your calendar. They're about what you allow to continue. They're about what you say yes to internally and what you stop overriding. So when I say staying with yourself, I mean not abandoning your inner knowing of things like, I don't want this, or I don't have the energy, or I fucking hate doing this. Staying with yourself means honoring that you don't want to do that thing. You don't have the energy for that thing, or you fucking hate that thing. Those thoughts are coming from your inner self. And the stories you tell so that you can continue to tolerate them, or so that you do continue to tolerate them, are coming from what you've internalized about what it means to be a good person, or someone who goes along to get along, or someone who keeps the peace. Here's the hard truth most people don't want to see. If something is consistently draining you and it continues to happen, you are participating in that. And again, I'm not saying this to blame you. I'm saying it because it's where your power is. This is info, not ammo. Information for you to learn, integrate, and grow from, not ammunition to beat yourself up. Because if you're participating in it, you can change it. People don't take advantage of you. You give them advantage over you. And if you're the source of the problem, that means you get to be the solution. If other people really are the problem, you're screwed. And I'm here to tell you, you're not screwed. So instead of asking, how do I manage my time better? I want you to start asking, what am I tolerating that's costing me my time and energy? And then the next question is, what's actually true here? Not the story, not the justification, the truth. So this is a great place to share a couple of my core ideas. So one is this: I don't set boundaries, I have boundaries. Now, I used to set boundaries all the time. But now I don't have to, because they've become internalized. They're part of my being. That's what I mean when I say I don't set boundaries, I have boundaries. Because what we're really talking about here is the shift from overriding yourself to being in relationship with yourself. In the beginning, you will have to set boundaries, but over time, you stop tolerating things that don't align with you, and that's when you have boundaries. Another core idea of mine is that boundaries only work when they're anchored in what really matters to you, in what you value, or you might say in what your values are. So ask yourself, what's most important to me right now? How do I actually want to feel at the end of my day? And what in my current life doesn't support that? Because if your life doesn't support how you want to feel, something needs to change. So let's use one of the main principles we learn in recovery, which is one day at a time. The idea behind the concept of one day at a time is that we break things down into manageable chunks. We don't have to stay sober for the rest of our lives. We stay sober one day at a time. We don't have to eat an entire elephant in one bite because we can't. We eat it one bite at a time. So in other words, we start small. So start with one thing, not your whole life, just one thing you've been tolerating that drains you. And get honest about it. What is it? What is the story you've been telling yourself to justify tolerating it? And what's actually true? And then ask, what would it look like to stop tolerating this? Not perfectly, not dramatically, just honestly. When you stop tolerating what drains you, you don't just get more time. You get your energy back, your presence back. You get yourself back. And that's what boundaries are really about. Not control, they're about choice. Making choices in areas of your life that you never perceived before. Choosing peace over people pleasing. Choosing rest and relaxation over resentment. Choosing the truth over tolerance. Choosing your well-being over accommodating other people. If your boundaries collapse in the moment, it's usually not because you don't know what to say. It's because when there's pressure, guilt, or someone else's reaction, it's hard to stay grounded and not override yourself. That's what we're actually working on inside my Boundary Bootcamp on May 2nd. This isn't a fast-paced workshop where you're just taking in more information. There's built-in time to slow down, reflect, and work through what's real for you so you can actually practice saying no, tolerating the discomfort, and not giving in when it matters. We'll look at what's been draining your time and energy, what matters most to you, and help you create a simple personal blueprint so you can start showing up differently in your real life. Learn more at higherpowercc.com/bootcamp.